Hi, welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of The Weekly Wave. I'm Matthew Lyons.
And I'm Aaron Johnson.
And our special guest here today is head of the school committee, Mr. Chris Coyle. How are you, Mr. Coyle?
Good, I'm very good. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's a pretty snowy Tuesday. I mean, we got some
A little bit, yeah.
we got some good weather.
Icy out there.
Yeah.
That's the big thing right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a white Christmas. That's all I want.
I know. I feel like we haven't had one of those in a long, long time.
I know.
I'm anti-snow, so
Really?
yeah.
I feel like a lot of older people are anti-snow.
Easy.
Whoa, that was
No, I'm not saying you're like old.
I understand.
right out of the gate.
I
too.
understand. I used to like when I was in school too, so I get it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because you guys gotta like drive to work and all that stuff. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah,
still have school, but at the same
that's
time, we're hoping for snow days. and
I
things
hear you.
like that.
No, I
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah. So I'm the interview. For my first question, I just want to know, what are the responsibilities as head of the school committee?
So as chair of the school committee, so first of all, as a member of the school committee, we have, there's 5 of us, including myself. The responsibilities range from, the biggest thing I feel at least right now is the budget. The budget cycle is always going on. It feels like it starts in January we're working, so we just started now. We're going to present in January to the public, and it's for next school year. So for the 2020-2021 school year. So we're already looking at June 2021, which is always wild when you look at that. So that's the main priority right now. But the biggest thing, I guess, the role of the school committee in general is just set policies. Set policies for the school. We're in charge of one person. It's Mr. Schaefer. He's in charge of all personnel besides himself. So that's where his contract, ratifying contracts of the teachers, working on those negotiations when they expire. Those are the main focus of things. And then as stuff comes up, things that come up in the community, people want to know about, help to try to answer them.
Awesome. So how did you first get involved with the school committee?
So I was on PTOs when my kids are younger. My children are in 4th grade and 1st grade now. So I was on the PTOs, and it was actually, there were some meetings about the school start times. This is going back about 3 or 4 years. So I went to a couple of the school committee meetings about the school start times, and going to the meetings, talking during them as what was going on, I just felt like I could help contribute. I felt like I had kids coming up, whereas a lot of the committee members at that time had children leaving, graduating. So I felt it was almost like a new blood kind of thing, and I figured I'd give it a shot. So that was that would have been 3 years ago, like winter of 16 into 17. So,
Cool.
Awesome.
yeah.
So when you went to like those meetings, was it kind of like a slow realization that you wanted to be a part of this, or did it just happen immediately?
It's funny. Not there, but afterwards, I came home and I was talking with my wife, and I was just like, I think I can be on that. I think I can help that committee. Do you know what I mean? I'm good at trying to see all sides of things. I mean, I may not personally agree with some things, but I can try to see all the different sides of things. Everybody's going to have different opinions. I sometimes personally have different opinion than what the role actually requires. So there's all those things to weigh in, and I just thought I could do a good job at it. Then it was a matter of figuring out how to actually go about doing it and the steps involved. So it was, I just went to town hall and talked to them, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
Cool.
Sweet. So you said you joined like 3 years ago, correct?
Yep, yeah, April of 2017 I was elected.
All right, sweet. And then, so how long is left on your term?
So my term expires in this April. So if I want to go again, I'll have to run for re-election, which I do plan on doing as of right now. Anything can always change, but I do plan on running for re-election in April, which would bring it from this April, if I were to win, till April of 2023. So it pretty much runs until the town elections that are usually held. I think it's like the last Saturday in April is when they're generally held. So that's when it would go until.
All right, awesome. So if you are planning to like run in the future, then so what are your goals for the future?
I'm still working on it. Still trying to figure out how this term ends. Continue to help this school, this building develop. This studio is fantastic. I love that we have the studio in here. Work to bring the entire district up to as best as it can be. Work on our MCAS scores. Help the teachers with that. We're going to have another teacher negotiation contract coming up. We'll be working on that. Like I said, the budget cycle never ends. So get as much support that we can for our staff to do the best job they possibly can. That's the broad. As it gets closer, I'll probably focus on small things. But as of right now, broadly, that's where I'm sitting at.
Cool. So what's the election and the re-election process like?
So initially, you fill out paperwork at town hall. You have to get 50 signatures of registered voters in town to be on the ballot. So you just go door to door, or I coach some of my kids' games, so I'll see parents there. It's easier now. I know more people now than I did 3 years ago.
Right.
So that's the beginning of it. And you submit them. As long as you submit them, I don't remember what the date is. Sometime in March, you got to submit the paperwork. And as long as it's in there, you end up on the ballot. And then campaign they had, when I ran 3 years ago, they had a breakfast put on by the Democratic Town Committee, which I went to. They provided you breakfast, and Abington Cam actually taped it. It's not really much of an interview, but talk about yourself, talk about where you're from, things like that, just anything, like a lot of personal stuff. There's no back and forth. The Republican Town Committee does have like a forum where you do the same kind of talking, but in the middle of it, they'll ask all the candidates for certain offices questions. I want to say maybe 2 or 3. It's nothing crazy, but just standard questions that they want to know answers from candidates.
Was the breakfast good?
It wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was over at Emerald Hall.
Oh, nice.
So that was put on by Terry Mays at the time, and it was myself. And I was new to everything then. So it's everybody running. It's not just the school committee, and so is the Republican thing. It's everybody that's running for an office in town at the time. So the Board of Selectmen, Board of Health. Sean Riley was on there for town moderator. So anybody who's running is invited to come and talk about themselves. Let the community know what you're about and what you're looking to do. So,
is it stressful to kind of balance like your normal life along with like the school committee job?
Yes, yeah, it can be. At certain times it is. Certain times it's not bad. Like I mentioned earlier, there are times as a parent, I'm a parent of 2 young children, where I may see things, or my wife and I in discussing may see things one way as parents, and then it's taking it as a parent, but then Mr. Schaefer is great, and all the staff has been great about when I'm in a meeting and I'm in an IEP meeting for my son, I'm able to talk I'm not a member of the school committee at that point. I'm dad. So the whole town, everybody in the administration has been great with that, and that's a known entity. If they weren't, I wouldn't do this, because dad's my number one job, and husband, I got to say that. So those are my number one jobs, and at times it does cause stress, because I sometimes have to just weigh the broad scheme of things. But in the end, I feel like in my household we're level-headed enough where a lot of what we see personally is probably be good for the district as a whole if we're able to get it done. A lot of it comes down to money if you're able to get it done. But in the end, the thoughts are always good, I feel, on both sides. So the meetings sometimes can cause a stress, having to come home from my day job, if I have a meeting to go to, running in, running out, preparing for a meeting. One of the roles, Matt, you mentioned as chair, is that I meet with Mr. Schaefer the week before our meeting to go over the agenda. So that's like a sub-meeting of a meeting, where that's just the chair that has to do that. So that's just those kind of things can sometimes cause stress, the time constraints, things like that. Things that you guys deal with too. Everybody deals with them. Having school, and then you got extracurricular activities, things like that. So
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
no problem. Thank you guys for having me. It was great.
Thanks for watching. Tune in Friday to see a brand new episode of Movie Time with Matt and Derek.
And make sure to follow us on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Green Gazette.
Happy holidays.
Goodbye.